Hello, my name is Matthew Kang. I'm the CEO of Isudo Technology Solutions. We provide cybersecurity and IT services to small business in Silicon Valley. Today, I'd like to share with you some of the things that we've been seeing in the last 18 months. We're noticing that cyber attacks are way up, and we want to share on some of the ways that you can stay safe while working online with employees working remotely. We partner with small and medium-sized businesses between 10 to 70 employees who are looking to manage their risks and provide the technology they need to make lots of revenue. We're not just your typical IT provider, we're your business IT development partner. And in this webinar, I like to discuss how a hack could happen while you're working from home, what is ransomware, what are the current cyber attack statistics, how you can manage your risk, and as a business owner, what you can do to protect your company going forward. And then some of the things that you can take away after watching the seminar. So first of all, let's start with how an attack can happen. The screen that I'm sharing with you shows a pop-up message that a user received while he was working from home. And this message popped up saying that, hey, there's something wrong with your computer. It has a virus and you need help. So call this number to call Microsoft at this number to get help. So as an end user, they went and called this Microsoft phone number. But as it turns out, this is not an actual Microsoft. The message looks really real and authentic with the Microsoft logo and everything. When the user called, it turns out that this is actually a fake telephone number that the hacker used to get the user to place the phone call, and afterward tells them, hey, to fix your problem, we need to get on your computer and do something. And of course, the user say, hey, I want to take care of this. I don't want my company to find out my computer's infected. So I'm going to call them and have them log on and fix my problem. But that's where the trouble starts. Because the hacker now is able to get on this user's computer, they install something because he allowed the user to get into his system. And then it starts installing remote access control. Then now they can do other things to his computer. To the user, he was trying to be helpful to try and solve the problem. But because the user doesn't know what's happening, the hacker now has control of his computer. So this is what we're seeing, the trend that's been happening. And what the result is, the hacker now has control of his system, and they install a software or a virus known as a ransomware. So what happened? What is a ransomware? A ransomware is a software that goes and infects all his files. They encrypt all the data, the information on his entire computer. And then now they lock everything up. If you try to open something, it says, hey, you need to enter a code or a key to view the information. The file says you got 72 hours to pay for the ransom. Otherwise, we're going to delete your files. That's what's saying. You got a certain amount of time left to pay. Otherwise, we're going to delete your data. And if you don't want to delete the data, we're going to put that data on the dark web for sale so that other people can buy your information and they can use that. Now, to pay this, you have to pay in Bitcoin. You cannot pay with a credit card on online checking. And the reason why the hacker is asking him to pay in Bitcoin is because it's hard to trace and can only, it's anonymous to the hacker who they are. So that's the reason why the Bitcoin payment is so popular. Over the summer in 2021, you probably seen the news on CNN and stuff of all the major companies that have been hacked. These include the Colonial Pipeline. So the Colonial Pipeline was the oil pipeline that was in the East Coast that caused major gasoline shortage. And this is what happened was the hacker found a password on the dark web that managed to get into the company's VPN account. And that caused them to be able to use the system to gain access to the rest of the company's network. And it locked everything up. The criminal group called the dark side, demanded $4.4 million for them to pay in order for them to unlock the data. The next one that you may have heard is called JBS Meatpacking Company. JBS Meatpacking Company is a company that has been the second largest US food supplier, and they provide like pork, poultry, and beef. And the company was ransomed for $11 million. This has happened in June of 2021. And the same thing is, the next company is known as Kaseya. Kaseya provides IT management software that allows IT companies and corporate companies to provide updates and patches to their computers. The company was attacked. The hacker demanded $11 million for them to pay. And sorry, the hacker demanded $70 million. A lot more. As you can see, Colonial Pipeline started with 4.4, it went up to 11, it went up to $70 million. Cyber attack has been increasing over the years. According to cyber security venture, they estimate that the cost of ransomware is going to go up to $6 trillion in 2021. And this is a major problem for businesses who are trying to just operate and be able to work remotely, allowing the users to provide services to their customer. That's the scary part, because a lot of the small businesses are the one that is being attacked now, not just a major company, because the major company has a lot of resource, a lot of investment dollar to provide security for their employees. But what we're seeing, the trend now is in 2021, a lot of the attack that's been happening, according to statistics, is that 60% of the attacks are happening because of employee credentials that's been hacked. The attackers are using email to deliver these attacks. And email, everybody gets an email, they get so many emails every day, they may not pay attention to who the email is coming from, who's it going to. They click on a link to open up the message, and suddenly their system got compromised without knowing that they did this. What is even more challenging is that most business that's been compromised doesn't know that it's happening until months. And according to IBM, they estimate it could take up to 280 days before they even found out that their system's been compromised. And the company, again, that's been compromised, over 50% are small business owners. And if a small business owner, if they don't do anything, they can go out of business within 6 months due to the cost of dealing with recovering from a ransomware attack. And most small businesses, you know, even if they manage to survive, they could still go out of business within 6 months because the attack will continue to happen again. So the other thing is the security and government regulation are also changing. Due to all these breaches and ransomware, California has recently passed a new law that says California requires all businesses and state agencies to notify any California resident whose information has been compromised if they're not encrypted. So in other words, they are requiring that the business to protect the consumer data by encrypting the information that contains anything that's sensitive information that can include, you know, your driver's license, address, social security, bank information, health information. These are some of the things that are required for a business to protect their data and encrypt the information so that if they get compromised, it's not easy for a hacker to try and read the information. So the good news is, what can you do? What can you do to manage your risk? So we have a couple of suggestions on how you can protect your business today. First, let's start by identifying, documenting what is considered critical information that you use. For example, your tax return, your client information, profile, address, social security information. Those are critical information for your business. Make sure you protect them. The other thing is your insurance policy application. If you have, you know, insurance policy has a lot of sensitive information on there, you want to protect that information. You have photos, work document, bank information, and health records. If you have all of this information on your computer, on the network, on the cloud drives, make sure that they're being protected, because that's the information that the hacker are coming after. Next is keep your system up to date. Update your Windows 10, update your Mac OS. If you're using Zoom, Microsoft Office, you know, your browser, Chrome, Edge, Safari, Firefox, make sure that you're running the latest version with all the security fixes provided by the vendor. If you have a wireless router that you set up at home or in the office, make sure you're using the latest security update, what they call firmware, and fixes that are provided by the vendor to secure your wireless router, including using the encryption on the wireless device. And if you have antivirus software, anti-malware, make sure that you're running those updates. Make sure you get the latest version. Don't be running like an outdated version of your antivirus software, because it does not provide you any protection if you're using older software, especially software that are no longer supported by the company. For example, don't be running Windows XP, running Windows 7 or an older version of your Mac OS if the manufacturer like Microsoft and Apple are no longer supporting it, because those are the applications that don't have the latest fix and security updates. Next is your mobile device. All of us have a smartphone, let's say a tablet, an iPad, an iPhone, or an Android phone. Make sure that those mobile phones are up to date. Make sure that you install the latest apps that you use. And if you don't have, you know, if you're not using any of the older apps, delete them. Don't keep it on your system. And be careful when you connect to public Wi-Fi on these phones, because you don't know who is controlling that public Wi-Fi, and that public Wi-Fi may be sending data to the hacker that now can steal your account login information. Ensure that you enable the phone tracking so that if you lose your phone, you can find a way to either, you know, deactivate it, wipe it, or locate the device. And lastly is, if you get text message, be careful who that text message is from. Don't just click on the link if you do not know who it is. call the person up to verify who the person that sent the information if you don't recognize the phone number. And then number 3, protect your data, back it up. So if you have information about your client files, tax return, your customer contacts, all of this, back it up. Again, if you have a Windows 10, you can back it up using the built-in Windows backup software to an external drive. You can also use an online backup like OneDrive, if you have Microsoft Office 365, or even the free OneDrive account, you can set up to backup online automatically. And you have Mac OS, use the Time Machine to back up to an external drive. And you have an iCloud. You can back it up to your iCloud. If you don't have that, you can also install the Google App Drive or a third-party online backup to back up your data. Because after all, if something happens to your computer, a hacker gets hold of it, or you lose your computer or drop it, you want to get access to your data back. And the only way to do that is you have a backup of it. Third is, hey, I'm using a cloud backup. A cloud app. What about my data? Well, here's the thing. You also have to back it up. Determine what are the cloud apps you use today. For example, are you using an accounting application, QuickBooks Online, Peachtree, or any of the other? If you have a website, is your website file backed up? What happened is your website provider have a hack or something happened to them. If you have, let's say, an online CRM software, same thing. If you also use, let's say, a mailing list like MailChimp or an email services such as Office 365, Google Drive, all of this information, if you have data on there, you need to know where they're stored, how it's being accessed, and what are you doing to protect them? Because the vendor are not responsible for your data. The cloud vendor are only responsible for providing the service available to you. And if your data is gone, you have to upload it again. Oftentimes we said, hey, all these software, the cloud app, and all my application, I have to remember so many passwords. How can I deal with all that? And that is a challenge that we hear all the time. How do you deal with password? So what can you do to make sure you have strong password and also can remember all that? Today, again, most of us can't remember all the password out there. So as a result, we pick simple password, easy to use password that are less than 8 characters, and it may contain like your date of birth, social security. Don't pick anything that is associated with you personally, including your child's, your pet's name, anything words found in dictionary, because those are, hackers have tools for them to actually guess those passwords. The other challenge we find about password is you want to share your password with your family or with your team member. And oftentimes you either send them the email with their password and log in, or you write it down and somebody puts on a sticky note and now they have it in front of their computer. That is not very safe, because that's how, if you send an email, you text them, that's a problem. You want to make sure that it's better protected. And one of the other common things we find is the default password of your wireless router or your TV and all that, or your computers, sometimes they're not changed. Because the default password are used, it's important that you change those, because the hacker already knows those passwords, they can guess them. The solution is use a password manager. A password manager is a software that can keep track of all your passwords and can generate strong password for you, so that you don't have to remember all the passwords for each website or application. All you have to do is just remember the main password for your password manager and use this. A password manager is like a database. Think of it as a strong Excel file that keeps track of all your passwords, but it uses what we call two-factor authentication and encryption to protect your information. The last thing is enable multi-factor authentication on your online apps and social media site and file sharing. So multi-factor authentication is a one-time token or one-time password along with your regular password, because it changes every time you log in. If you have done any online banking or any government secure website that are out there, they require you to have multi-factor authentication or two-factor authentication enabled. Most of the providers today provide these services. You just need to go in and set it up for yourself. So what about if you're a business owner? One of the biggest things that we see with business owner is that they have employees, they have information that they share with each other. And that information is very critical. If you need, if you have employees, 5 employees, you share documents, you share data, you send email all day long, or you work with clients that contain sensitive information, it's important to make sure you consider getting cyber insurance, because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of time before you get hacked. Now, in order for you to get cyber insurance, you have to work with a specialized broker who deals with cyber insurance. Your typical, let's say, E&O insurance or general liability, they may not deal with that. Plus, you need to understand that there's special requirements in order for you to qualify for cyber insurance. Your business have to have certain security control in place, set up, and proof that you can, when you fill out the cyber insurance form, you have to show them that you have these requirements, because if you don't meet those requirements, they could deny coverage when you file for a claim. So next thing is, lastly, I want you to promise me that if you don't take away from, if everything else to take away from this message is use complex password, use password that does contain your children's or pet's name, set up multi-factor authentication for any of the online services or your application or apps that you use. And if you're gonna get, let's say, a money transfer, make sure you know who you're sending the information or sending the message, sending the money to on the other side. Either you call them up to confirm, hey, did you send this request to transfer a certain amount of money to this customer and so, or do a Zoom call to verify, or any type of verification before you send any money. And lastly is, I want to thank you for taking the time to spend with me. And if you're a business and you want to learn more, I invite you to go to our website called ask.esudo.com/risk to get a free security assessment if you want to learn more how you can protect your company. Or you can check us out on Facebook. And also, I'm a co-author of the book called Cyber Security Minefield. This book is #1 on Amazon's list. And to get a free chapter of that book, go to our website at www.esudo.com, click contact us, and in the subject of that contact field, just say free chapter, and we'll be happy to send you a chapter of our company's book. Thank you, and appreciate your time.